I think they'll struggle to make the top 4 again. No one agrees with me at the moment.
Really? Right, gentlemen, back to the Premier League if we must. There's a big one on Saturday evening. It's those Manchester City guys versus the Newcastle United guys, or the PIF posse.
The PIF posse.
Posse.
Because it's nothing to do with Saudi Arabia, it's the PIF.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people don't know what the PIF actually is.
Well, it's nothing to do with Saudi.
Well, yeah, I don't know why
It's
I brought it
actually
up.
pronounced PIF.
Right.
Yeah, it's not PIF, mate.
Because when you say PIF, it makes it sound like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones might be involved. Yeah, they're definitely not
Or it's a
involved.
place where you buy furniture.
I think Saudi
always has a sale on.
I think Saudi Arabia.
right.
I think Saudi Arabia definitely see themselves as galaxy defenders, mate, for sure. Even though they're nothing to do with
Nothing to do with
No.
it. No, indeed, yeah. Well, Manchester City, of course, have just won the UEFA Super Cup, beating Sevilla on penalties. Oh, about that. So, yeah, I mean, decent win for Manchester City. Jim, it's the one they wanted.
It is the one they wanted, I suppose, isn't it? Because they've never been eligible for. But they looked a little bit vulnerable on the counter, didn't they? Sevilla had a little bit of joy.
Decent finishing in Sevilla win
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
What a header
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
Sevilla
yeah.
open goal.
He's,
Lovely.
Opening goal.
and Naziri is maybe the best attacking header of the ball in the world. He's close for sure.
It was like
Think
proper
of-
1960s
Oh, look, mate,
stuff.
if
Think of him against Portugal in the World Cup.
Yeah.
If Mitrovic does go, come on,
Get him.
get him in
Get
there.
him in there.
Absolutely.
Use the Premier League buying power
Yes.
to get him in, because that was a. I don't care if you're going to double mark me.
No.
I'm going to jump higher.
Yes.
I'm going to use more and better neck muscles,
Yes.
and I'm going to score.
More.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got more neck muscle.
Could have. Could
our
explain a lot.
strikers.
Could
Yeah.
explain a lot. Could explain an awful lot, like a giraffe.
Careful. You're just
Sorry.
edging towards David Icke there.
Never go full Ike.
No.
No. Go a little bit Ike.
No.
Why not?
None of
Have you
Ike.
seen the internet these days?
Yeah, true.
He's basically mainstream now.
There are a lot-
He's one of
he's
the
a
least
moderate.
eccentric
He's a
people.
I know,
moderate.
yeah, there's a lot of ex-pros going at least a bit, Ike.
Yeah, it's like some people said. I saw someone on Twitter say these days Batman would be considered the least eccentric billionaire.
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Manchester City, they brought home the trophy. Pep had some kind words to say to the Premier League after the game. He said, "Thank you so much to the Premier League for letting us play on Saturday, not Sunday or Monday. Thank you so much." So he's happy.
What's basically happened is he's obviously asked the Premier League, or they've made an appeal to the Premier League to play later in the weekend, and the Premier League have said,
Saturday
you
night?
can have 5 hours.
This is like
Make the most of them.
This is the first opportunity they've had to make a sensible decision about the overload of games that they've just gone, nah.
You wanted to win the Champions League.
For most teams, this is one game in,
Yeah.
and they've already done this.
It's superb, isn't it?
No, it's awful.
But to Manchester City, Jim, you've got to find a bit of a lull.
Well,
Jim,
you
you
know,
need
it's
the
gotta be a level
advantage.
playing field,
You
isn't
need
it?
the advantage,
Well,
man.
yeah, indeed.
I was going to say, you of all people
Change
should
his
want
tune.
this. Don't want to repeat
It's
last
the Arsenal
season.
arrogance. Oh, we're going to win the Premier League anyway. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
true enough. Yeah. Well,
Glad you
anyway,
can finally see that.
yeah. Well, maybe they will be extremely tired, and it will play into Newcastle United's advantage. But this is an interesting fixture, Andy Brass. If you remember the game at the Etihad last year, when Manchester City won 2-0, Newcastle gave a very good account of themselves, and by going on the first game of the season, they've got their tails up, and Manchester City have got tired tails.
Yeah, they weren't in as good fettle
Bit
when
weird.
they last played at the Etihad as they are now in Newcastle. I think that's pretty clear.
Just for the record, I don't think Man City will be tired 2 games into the Premier League season, by the way.
I have to say, I don't know about that, because that was an exhausting effort.
Hot day,
It was
hot night.
so
Lot of travel.
hot.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there, whereas Newcastle have actually had some time to train and repose during the week. Having said that, I don't think now. I actually think Villa will go on to do okay this season.
I do as well. I
Not
do
top
too.
4 okay, as some have suggested on Twitter.
That was also me.
But I think playing Villa last weekend is in that state is no preparation for playing Manchester City, because honestly, Newcastle could have scored 10 in that. They were excellent, but I think you have to balance it out with the fact that Villa were absolutely atrocious in every way, shape, and form, and that they defended appallingly.
Impressed Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, he did.
Well, Villa's defending
Yes, he
impressed
said that
Sir
they were
Alex
the team
Ferguson.
that impressed him a lot on the opening weekend of the Premier League, and I'm just loving this odd mind game. And
Yeah.
I'm like, who is in the so-
In
the-
about
become
3
clear
months'
in
time,
6
it'll become
months, yeah.
clear. Exactly, exactly. It's a much different assignment. I think is what Andy's saying. You know, going to Manchester City at this stage of the season, fine. It's probably the time you'd want to play them.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
at the same
definitely.
time, it's different to playing Aston Villa at home on the opening day with a pumping crowd
Do you,
behind
think,
you and
do
stuff.
you think he's trying to, like, as you say, in 3 months' time, Pep Guardiola will mention it and go, Well, I don't know why Sir Alex Ferguson thought Aston Villa. As he looked at the fixtures in 3 months' time, they've got Villa.
I think,
or something.
I think
And then we're
He'll
going to
make
see
a mad decision.
We're going to see Julia Roberts pop up at Aston Villa, and then Pep's going to just lose his mind, and they don't even get into
Guardiola will basically ruminate on that point from Alex Ferguson until just about towards the end of the transfer window.
Yep.
Then he'll sign 14 fullbacks and try and play all of them against Villa. And they'll lose. I don't know when they're playing them. We haven't really. Well, it's just not really a point I've thought about.
No.
And then they'll lose to Villa, and then they'll lose the title.
Yeah. Well, Man City are reportedly trying to hijack Brighton's move for 19-year-old Boca Juniors left back Valentin Barco. So there you go. There's one.
Well, what basically they're doing is saying, who's the team in the Premier League that always signs players that no one's ever heard of and turn out to be really good? It's Brighton. Do whatever they do, just to offer more money.
They've got a scout marking Brighton scouts.
I reckon they have.
Following them
But Brighton
everywhere.
can really, I mean, it's a dangerous game to play, of course, but Brighton can really start to mug off other teams.
Yeah.
We like him. Oh, no, we don't. Ah, you got him. Unlucky. He signed it.
Where are you going? What game are you going to the weekend? None of your business. Leave me alone. That's what's going on over and over again.
But your point, Luke, about playing City now as opposed to playing them in 2 months. Honestly, I think City in 2 months are going to be a really tough nut to crack. Bearing that in mind at that point, they'll probably have Lucas Paquetá. Jeremy Doku looks like he's on the way from Rennes as well. They're going to have so many options. They're going to be a bit settled down. I think it'd be really tough. Whereas if Newcastle are going to have a pop at them, it's got to be now.
It's got to be next.
I mean, and they're obviously feeling very good about themselves, as they should do.
You've also got to take into account one thing we haven't mentioned here, though.
Is the ownership of both teams?
No, well, there's no point doing that.
Yeah.
They'll be monsters. Kevin De Bruyne.
Yes.
Talk about him.
Yeah.
Talk about Kevin De Bruyne being out again. He's obviously not going to be eligible for selection in this game. Is that going to be a factor? Chiefly because Newcastle have looked really strong in midfield. They've looked really strong.
Are we going to see Phil Foden maybe pop into the more central midfield position?
He was great in that spot in the Champions League.
Yeah, he
final.
fancies that,
Really
doesn't he?
good.
And then maybe De Bruyne going. I mean, the things with Foden, he's one of those players where you think he would be the best. I think you made the point, Luke, that he would be the best player in pretty much every other Premier League team. And at Man City, he's not always a guaranteed starter.
I think you can also make a similar argument about Bernardo Silva, who might even play through the middle because he's got that sort of creativity that's comparable to De Bruyne in a little way. And Guardiola doesn't mind doing this, does he? He's happy to find internal solutions and just make them work very smoothly as if it's simple when it's really, really not.
He'd probably put Aymeric Laporte there. Who everyone thinks is going to go, and then suddenly he pops up as like a number 8. He's brilliant, and wins the Player of the Season. How's he managed that?
On this, I'm surprised that there's so much uncertainty around Cole Palmer's future.
Right.
I thought Guardiola's comments were really odd.
Same, because it seems to suggest that he might stay or he might go, and it's like not really that big a deal. And Palmer himself has been talking about the uncertainty, and he looks an absolute gem.
Do you think he's downplaying the pressure?
Maybe.
Because we know, again, with the aforementioned Phil Foden, people will think, well, hang on a minute, you've got this gem here. Look at what Foden's gone on to do and will go on to do. Palmer's the same. Should he be playing for his country? Should blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. He's Guardiola going, well, maybe not. And he's just trying to.
But he's never said what he said about Palmer about Phil Foden.
That is true. But maybe he's changing tactic. I don't know.
What it also could be, we're seeing this happen a lot at Chelsea as well, is that obviously players from academies count as pure profit, and when it comes to FFP, so maybe they are thinking we might have to let him go if we can get good money.
Quite
creating that uncertainty will make any sort of club making an approach feel like they're getting a bit of a steal.
Take a buyback.
Andy, what's the mood like in Newcastle at the moment? Because that opening win we talked about was big, of course. They've got their new documentary out, which is terribly insightful. The place must be bouncing.
They're in a good place. There's no doubt about that. And it's funny because at the start of the season, look, maybe it'll be different once the Champions League campaign kicks in and the reality of playing very high level football twice a week comes in. But at the moment, I mean, I would have said at the start of the season, with all that in mind, I think they'll struggle to make the top 4 again. No one agrees with me at the moment.
Really,
that they feel really, really confident, and they've improved the squad beyond what I think they thought was possible, or what a lot of fans thought was possible so far. So they've got great options. Yeah.
What do you think of the news? You talk about the top level football being played there, Champions League and Premier League. Well, they will also be hosting international football as well. Not England, though. They're going to host 2 Saudi Arabia international friendlies.
That's a mad coincidence, that.
Yeah.
So the coincidences just keep rolling
I know.
in, don't they?
But the PIF have got nothing to do with Saudi Arabia.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How sure?
What are you talking about?
Well, anyway, they're going to play. I mean, look, Craven Cottage has hosted at many international
They
games.
want to
over the-
experience September in the northeast of England. It's a beautiful time. The seasons are changing. The
that's true.
leaves are turning a different colour.
All right.
It's a wonderful, picturesque way to go.
There are a series of city centre Gregs.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's no other reason than that.
Right. Okay.
Autumnal weather training.
Yeah. It's a good night out in Newcastle as well.
I would say if you are going to investigate this further,
Right.
tread lightly.
Very
That's
likely.
all I'm saying.
All right. Keep a
Yeah.
sober
Know
mind.
what not to do.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.